And the bailout plan is ridiculous. Um, when you think about it, and this is such a true statement, who are the special interest groups in this country? Everyone but corporations. When you are environmentalists, when you are the religious right, small business, I mean, when it comes to everything, like libertarians, just everyone who's not a corporation is a special interest group. And you think about it, the special interest of the country is corporations, and that is 110% the truth. And you think about it, that these bankers and fuckers basically, like, they fucked up, and then we have to bail them out as much as like half the wars that ever caused some of these wars have caused in the past in our country. And it really is a joke. And not only do they give the bailout, but they like want to make us like feel even worse and stupid, like, haha, you're a fucker, because not only is there a bailout, but they have like a rum company attached to it, and like laying out NASCAR tracks and toy rifle guns attached to it. So it's like, not only do we bail out the banks, but we fucking made NASCAR tracks of that, you fucking losers. And that's what it's basically saying with the bailout. I mean, it's just like pretty much like pointing in our face and laughing and their asses off at us. And it's like, why should we pay money to lay out NASCAR tracks? I mean, I grew up on NASCAR and I like it, but I don't think our tax dollars should go to making NASCAR tracks. That's just ridiculous. I mean, are these people fucking insane? I mean, what is wrong with them? And it's really ridiculous that we will bail out these people, these tyrants, in the first place. And, like, when you think about it, like, what kind of message do we say to people in this country? You can't buy a car and drive it without insurance. We basically have, our government comes in and you can't work without them saying, oh, you are forced to save up for retirement with Social Security. But then when it comes to human life, it's like, you don't need to have health insurance. Doesn't fucking matter. You don't, like, why can't you drive a car without having insurance, but yet you can't live? That you can live without having health insurance. Like, where's our ideal? Our government's basically like, ha ha, a car is better than you. Like, a car means more than you. And your retirement check means more than your health. And what kind of fucking statement is it? And when you really think of the statement that the government's saying to us, they're basically saying, you're a bunch of fucking maggots. We'll fucking crush you if you don't, like, they don't really care. And they pretty much just think we're like cattle for the herding. And I mean, really, what kind of statement is it? It's really fucked up. But I mean, I think that overall the situation is just pathetic. I mean, and I think I blame pretty much everyone, although I blame the banks 99% of the function. But when you have the whole situation, we in the 90s had a major boom with the technology boom. If it was not for the technology boom, we would probably be halfway to a third world country already. So the technology boom has lowered, so by our nature, our economy's lowered. But what these stupid fuckers all over this country have done since the 2000 period, where our economy is slowly declining, is decided to basically try and live better and better when we are in fact living worse. Like, when you think about the whole 2000 period, it was an all inflation. There was nothing behind it. I mean, the inflation has only started to catch up to us, and it's like, we were all living off of pretty much credit. The banks were living off credit in the 2000 period. People were buying houses they couldn't afford. And I kind of blame everyone. It's like, we've become so materialistic and aggressive in this country that's like, we have to constantly push forward. And that was the result. I mean, people are like, I don't have as much money as I did in the 90s. What should I do? Buy a $2 million house, even though I make $40,000 a year. And the same thing with the banks. I mean, we have this whole idea where it's like, we constantly need to progress. And people don't even, like, analyze this. I mean, they just kind of, it's like we're like psychotic fucking bulls who are trying to pull, like, 10,000 pounds and wonder why we're not moving. And same thing with the banks. It's like, with all corporations, we're like, we constantly have to progress. And it does not matter what you do. You could be a dirty sociopath. If you have to kill people, do it in order to get your profits. And what the banks did was they didn't even have money, and they would basically trade money with other banks that wasn't even there, like credit, and then give money to people who could not afford to buy houses to give that money to them to buy houses in the first place. And what the hell is going on? I mean, everyone is like so selfish. That's just pretty much everyone wanted to live better than the 90s, when in fact we were living worse off, but just pretending we could live better in the 90s. And I think that it's just everyone's fault in America. I mean, not everyone's, but I mean, granted, I think it's the banks and corporations' fault for like 75% of us, but it's just as much as a fault for someone who makes, say, something like $40,000 is stupid enough to get a loan for a $2 million house and wonder why they lost it. I mean, people have to use their common sense, and our government themselves pretty much wants us to think we're stupid. I mean, Social Security is kind of like that too. It's like, you're too stupid to save up for retirement, so we'll force you to make a retirement fund and then give it to you later on. And it's like, are we really that stupid that we need that? I mean, granted, I kind of have to agree in some cases, but if people want to be stupid and not be able to do certain things, then let them suffer the consequences. It just happens to be those consequences affect the whole fucking country. I mean, when people used to, in the survivalistic natural world, if someone was stupid, they would die out. Now we just let stupid people just reproduce and wonder, and give them, not only let them reproduce, but if they can't make a life for themselves, we basically give them socialized handouts. So it's like our race is probably fucked to begin with, since we pretty much just let everyone, the stupidest people have the most kids, and they give them the handouts for that, which I think is a little overboard. I mean, what will happen to the human race? But I mean, I think that in general, like with the socialized medicine, like, I understand that 60+% of America wants socialized medicine, but we already have a huge deficit from this war. And do people realize how much taxes we'll have if we have a socialized medicine program? I mean, we probably have to triple our taxes. Why? Because first off, we have to already pay for these wars we're in debt for. Then we have to make a whole new program. And people right now might bitch about not having insurance, and as soon as taxes are triple the amount, and they wonder why even their rents are triple the amount, and everything is more, then they'll bitch about that. And pretty much everyone's just constantly unhappy. It's just like everyone just bitches about everything. And then people will start bitching about why they have to wait on line for 10 months for the socialized medicine when they have something stupid like fibromyalgia or asthma. And it's like, oh, well, you're not going to die from it, so you can wait 10 months online to get help. And people start bitching about that, and I don't think that we have the capability right now to make socialized medicine. I think that plane flew off a long time ago because we decided to become a war nation instead of a nation who helps its own people. So, I mean, I think to have a decent socialized medicine, we would pretty much probably have to triple taxes. I mean, we could have the half-ass version where pretty much we could just pretty much have the bare minimum and have the rest of people just die. And I mean, people don't realize, I mean, we could have socialized medicine, but what happens if that collapses? We fucking die, and they take away hospitals and take away doctors and cut things. If we can't do it right in the first place, then there's no purpose of even doing it, because it become half-ass. And it could become like the biggest half-ass production ever. So do it fucking right. If we want to do it right, we have to triple taxes. And we can't do that. And I mean, I personally think go for fucking libertarian. Fucking get rid of all this fucking military and prison budgets. I mean, we have I think we have prison systems and military budgets about 4 times the amount of, like, the second biggest budget, prison budgets and military budgets anyway. So let's bring that down 1/4. Get rid of stupid programs like welfare, which are basically just keep people lazy. And then we could probably have much lower taxes. I mean, if you had lower taxes, then you'd probably be able to afford it in the first place. But anyways, here's the end.